Assalamu alaikum. In today's Honey Was Cooking, we are making focaccia bread. Focaccia is an Italian bread. You can use it as a pizza dough, you can use it with your main meal, soups, you can use it as an appetizer. It is a crusty bread and rich with flavors of rosemary and olive oil. Let's get cooking. So the ingredients for the bread: 500 grams of plain baking flour, 7 grams of self-rising yeast. I've got Semolina, which I'm going to use to dust the baking pan, salt to taste, and it will be used at a number of stages. Olive oil again. We will be using about 6 to 8 tablespoons of olive oil at various stages, so just keep it handy. And we will be using 325 ml of tepid water, which will be the raising agent for our yeast. Just a quick stir with a fork. 500 grams flour in a mixing bowl, a pinch of salt. Give it a quick stir to mix the dry ingredients. Make a well in the center, and in comes our 325 ml of water with 7 grams of self-rising yeast. There we go. So we will start by mixing with a wooden spoon at one point of time. When all the water has been absorbed by the flour, we will be using our hands to mix the dough, and that's the best way to do it. So just keep mixing till the water has been absorbed by the flour to the maximum possible extent. So another thing that we'd want to do while we are making the dough is add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. It gives it richness, texture, and flavor. And now coming on to the main thing, kneading the dough with your hand. So all the water incorporated, we have a soft dough. Now this is going to be kneaded for good 15-20 minutes. We need to get the maximum gluten out of the flour. So you will be using your fingers and the edge of your palm to knead. So we've been kneading the dough for some good 15-20 minutes. And by we, I mean me and my daughters. They've helped me. And as you can see, the dough is nice, not overly soft or sticky, and it already shows some flexibility, so that's the way you want it to be. So the next step is to proof the dough for about 35-40 minutes. I would simply dust the counter with some flour and leave the dough sitting over here for the next 35-40 minutes till it has at least double in size. More, that should be fine too. So this is how and where we left our focaccia dough about 15 minutes ago, with the hope that it would rise to double. And look at this, it surely has risen, and definitely more than double. Even double would have been fine. So just to give you an idea, I'm happy with this dough. I've got 2 baking dishes that I've oiled with olive oil, and I'm going to dust these with some semolina. This is helpful. It doesn't let the bread stick to the base, and it comes off easily once done. As I mentioned in the start, this dough is going to give us 2 medium-sized flatbreads. We're going to do it in 2 flavors. A Mediterranean one with olives, za'atar, sesame, and of course we are going to have this rosemary to go with the focaccia bread. Once it has been done and baked, we will soak it in olive oil and give it a dusting with salt. The other one, we are going to do it somewhat what I would call desi. So I've got barbecued chicken tikka. I have actually cooked it in a barbecued chicken tikka masala. Not much, just to make it tender until the masala has cooked, with not much oil at all in the moisture of the chicken itself. And I am going to add cherry tomatoes to it, give it a sprinkle of zira, and then of course we are going to have olive oil and salt. Dividing the dough into 2, just to give you an idea. See how flexible this dough is? That's how it should actually be. Of olive oil spread out. You just poke a couple of finger holes, and now this is ready for the topping. So I'm placing the chicken tikka chicken that I prepared for the bread. And now placing some cherry tomatoes. Honestly, you can do your choice of topping. You could use veggies, meats, seasoning, leave it plain, olive oil, olives. You just pick and choose cheese, different kind of cheeses. You just make the topping to your preference. You can use fruits, pineapple, kiwi, any fruit that you would prefer to go with your focaccia bread. Now the star seasoning, the rosemary, and the best way to do it is that you rub it in a little bit of olive oil, and that brings out the best of the flavor and aroma. The other bread that we are doing is more like Mediterranean flavors, so I'll be putting some olives, a good sprinkle of za'atar, an added sprinkle of sesame seeds, and now finally rosemary rubbed in olive oil. And for the chicken tikka bread, just a sprinkle of cumin seeds, zira, for that added desi flavor. Now we're going to cover the bread dough with damp tea towel. It's been dampened in hot water, and this is going to sit for another 45 minutes, and that will be the final proof before we place it into the oven to bake for about 40-45 minutes on 400. So the bread has been proving under a damp cloth for good 45 minutes. Let's take a look. Yep, it has risen once again, and looks nice and colorful. I'm happy with it, and we will now be putting it into the oven for a bake. So what I'm going to do before that, I had these two stalks left over from the rosemary, and they smell beautiful. I might as well put them onto the bread, and they will be easy to take off once the bread is done. So the breads will now go into the oven, 400 Fahrenheit, for about 20 to 25 minutes. The bread is now going to sit into the oven at 400 Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes till it is nice and brown. Taking out the bread from the oven, nice and brown. From the oven, we are going to feed it with olive oil, because the way the bread masters put it, the bread is now hungry for olive oil. Finally, a generous dash of salt. So feeding the hungry bread with olive oil before a final dash of salt. The tomatoes have nicely cooked, and they have a slight char to them, which is perfect. Sliding it out.